sports editor Gabe Wisman, joined by Richard Walker, Philip Gardner. Trying to do something a little different with the All-Gazette picks, release it on video first, and then go in the print edition shortly after. Hope everybody will tune into this and check it out. I'm just going to run through the list of players, let these guys break it down a little bit as to the decision-making process, and go from there. Start out with Gazette Offensive Player of the Year, Michael Roberts from Kings Mountain. First team offense, Roberts obviously at quarterback, Aaron Crumbly from South Point at running back, Clover running back Tyron Douglas, Forest View running back Jarkevis Alexander, Ashbrook wide receiver Jerani Boyd, East Lincoln wide receiver Keith Rendelman, South Point offensive lineman Daniel Biggerstaff and Greg Lancaster, Clover offensive lineman Kenny Dockel, Bessemer City offensive lineman Kyle Creed, and Bessemer City East Lincoln offensive lineman Baron Spry. Let you guys kind of comment on that a little bit. Richard, talk about Michael Robertson's Player of the Year candidate.
Yeah, the Player of the Year decision may have been the most difficult of all for us because you have as highly recruited a player as has ever been in our area in my memory, in Jerani Boyd, and he's not even really in the discussion because when you look at the success of Roberts' team at Kings Mountain, Desmond Lowry's team at South Point, and Aaron Crumbly along with Lowry, and then you've also got East Lincoln with a terrific year, the best year they ever had. It kind of got whittled down to those three teams, and really it came out to Lowry, who was the trigger man for South Point's offense, and Roberts is the trigger man for Kings Mountain's offense. When you look at it, you're really splitting hairs with these guys, but kind of I think the deciding factor for us was that Roberts made Kings Mountain happen singularly. You look at our picks, no disrespect to Kings Mountain's offensive line, but one offensive lineman on the second team. You look at Lowry's team, everybody will tell you, yeah, Lowry's good, yeah, Crumbly's good, but boy, they sure block really well. So it's kind of weird that it almost works against a Lowry-Crumbly support that their offensive line blocks so well for them, but that's kind of the way I looked at it. And plus, when Roberts got injured late in the year, Kings Mountain really suffered without him being 100% against Kannapolis in a way that Lowry the whole year long was integral to his team, and they just won or lost based on what he did. And with Roberts out of action or out of being 100% for the Kannapolis game, you could definitely tell that Kings Mountain had a fall off. And certainly South Point and Kings Mountain played this year. South Point wins that game, but we're trying to base it on the merits of how far your team goes in the playoffs, how significant you impacted your team, and we just felt like by the slimmest of margins, Michael Roberts barely gets the nod, and it makes it all the more interesting because now it seems like Desmond Lowry is going to be playing significant minutes for the North Carolina Shrine Bowl team at that very position. So,
right.
We're trying to look at it as what those players did in our high schools in our area and how they impacted their team.
What sticks out to you about the offensive group as a whole?
Well, it's really crazy not seeing Desmond Lowry on that first team. But we do have Aaron Crumbly at running back. He was a lock, absolutely, for one of our first team running backs. And South Point also has two offensive linemen, Biggerstaff and Lancaster, and those guys are well deserved. So you look, two of our five linemen are South Point guys. Something new we did this year was add a running back position. We scrapped the tight end. Hadn't had a lot of tight ends really in the area, really to speak of. A lot of people going to the spread formation. We don't see as much of the tight end position, and so we're able to get three running backs on there on the first team. And I think these guys are well deserved. Crumbly, Douglas from Clover, absolutely, and Jarkevis Alexander had a huge year. Of course, Jay Boyd was a lock-up receiver. I thought the receiver positions were really easy with Rendelman and Boyd, and I think we got a really good first-team offense.
Quick rundown of the second team: Desmond Lowry, South Point quarterback; Thaddeus Benton, running back, East Gaston; Joe Chambers, Kings Mountain running back; Austin Culp, East Lincoln running back; Terrence Young, wide receiver, Kings Mountain; Jordan McClain, wide receiver, North Lincoln; Zach Brown, Forest View; Melvin Brown, Hunter Huss; Joseph Haskett, Kings Mountain; Josh Greer, South Point; Bradley Sigmund, Lincolnton. Those are all your offensive linemen, the last five mentioned. Moving on to defense, Defensive Player of the Year, James Justice from South Point. The first team defense, first your defensive lineman, Thomas James, Kings Mountain; Reggie Williams, Bessemer City; Malik McConaughey, East Lincoln, Darius Still, South Point, James. And that'll be the defensive line. Your linebackers: James Justice, Willie Kennedy from Ashbrook, Seth Hazelton from Forest View, Aaron Rainey from Bessemer City. Your defensive backs: Eric Crank from Cherryville, Jason Perry, East Lincoln, Chris Lindsay of Clover. Phil, talk about Defensive Player of the Year, James Justice.
Again, it wasn't an easy decision. I didn't think we had a one guy who really stood out over the rest, but James Justice had an incredible year. He was one of the spark plugs for that defense, which we all knew was the big story for South Point this year. We knew what the offense was going to give us, but what was the defense going to do? And I thought, after that first game against Clover, the defense really had a spectacular year. Justice led that team to 5 shutouts, including 1 in the playoffs against a really good Asheville team. His regular season stats: 88 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 fumbles forced, 1 fumble recovery, an interception. Obviously a great candidate for Big South Defensive Player of the Year. We agreed with the coaches and went with James Justice. I thought some other guys, Thomas James from Kings Mountain had a huge year. Seth Hazelton from Forest View, the linebacker, I thought he had a great year. But in the end, we just went with James Justice.
Richard, what sticks out to you on first team defense?
Well, again, similar to the debate on offensive team and player of the year, you want to reward the teams that had the best seasons. It is no coincidence that a lot of the guys on our team are represented by places like Kings Mountain, East Lincoln, South Point, and then you throw in a guy like Bessemer City's Reggie Williams and Aaron Rainey. The reason that Bessemer City made such a marked improvement this year and did so well in their conference was defense had improved a great deal. Defense is hard to quantify because statistics can be very misleading, because typically if you're a really good defense, you're not on the field much, you don't have a chance to make many tackles. That being said, from what we saw of these guys this year, I feel really good about what we got. Much like on offense, we made one little position switch. We added an extra linebacker because, as I would say in the case of a guy like Willie Kennedy, so many of these players that have the abilities of a Kennedy, a Justice, a Hazelton, a Rainey, you can hybrid them between defensive line to linebacker to even defensive back in some cases. And so we felt like that clearly the linebacker position has kind of stood out as kind of where coaches want to put their most athletic playmaking guys, and we felt that they deserved 4 spots as opposed to 3 in the past, and we took 1 spot away from the defensive backs. Because, and again, like I said, there's so many guys that are sliding back and forth because you have 3-man frontline alignments, 4-man, even 5-man alignments, but virtually everybody, particularly in the Big South this year, because there wasn't so much passing, went with an 8-in-the-box defensive front, and it felt like that worked for our team, and feel real good about all the players we have. Would stack that defense up against anybody.
Quick rundown of the second team defense. Your 4 defensive linemen: John Tavian Hall, Hunter Huss, Maurice Falls, South Point, Andrew Lopez, Highland Tech, BJ Stamper, Lincolnton. Your 4 linebackers: Andrew Myers, Highland Tech, Tyler Coolidge, South Point, JT Putnam, Kings Mountain, Ryan Nagy, East Lincoln. Your 3 defensive backs: Tevin Avery, Lincolnton, Darius Edwards, Ashbrook, Preston Perry, East Lincoln. Before we get to the Coach of the Year, I'll run down the special teams guys. Kicker, first team, James Justice. Punter, Matthew Florence. Kick returner, DJ Parker, Bessemer City. Second team, special teams, kicker, Brendan Strupp, East Lincoln. Punter, Patrick Cullum, Ashbrook. Kick returner, Tevin Lindsay, Hunter Huss. Coach of the Year this year, we went with Mike Bias, East Lincoln. Phil, give us a little bit of rundown on what he accomplished this year.
Bias had a tremendous season. School record, 14-2 record this year. State championship appearance, first time the school's ever done that. Bias has been there 4 years, and he's really moved this program in the right direction all 4 years. If you look at the playoff success, they went second round, third round, fourth round, and then this year all the way to the 5th round in the state title game. I think that's a strong reflection of what Bias and his staff has done as much as anything. He's got a strong rapport with the players. The players really respect him. I could sense that from going out to practices, and he obviously has great control over it. He's got a lot of talent. Let's not ignore that. A lot of great skill position players. They got some size, some strong hitters, but give Bias credit for molding them together and bring them into state championship form.
That'll wrap it up for this football season. I'm sure we'll continue to do some videos and some commentary through the rest of the sporting year. Appreciate everybody tuning in and checking us out this year, and we'll see you shortly.